today's Rectors seminar. We will continue with the challenges, opportunities, and joys also of multidisciplinary work. We will add additional ingredient into the mix, working with industry. We have 3 speakers who will present good practices at the University of Warwick, University of Edinburgh, and at Humboldt Innovation. So, as we are pressed for time, as always, without further ado, I give the floor to Kerry KIRWAN, Deputy Pro-Vice Chancellor for Research at the University of Warwick, who will talk about working with industry and also how to obtain funds. So, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. Hopefully you can see the screen. Thank you very much for asking me to talk here. I'm conscious we only have a few minutes, so I will be going quite quickly. And please don't try to get everything on these slides. I'll just pull out the pertinent points. Slides aren't changing. Okay, so what I'm going to do today, just briefly cover the UK funding landscape, because that helps you understand what it is that we are trying to do in the UK and how it affects our relationship with the industry. I'll then go briefly onto Warwick and then use WMG, Warwick Manufacturing Group, which is one of our world recognised leaders in working with industry. So it may sound an odd question, but universities in the UK, what do we actually do? So I put this up because universities in different countries do different things. So what we do in the UK is our primary area is obviously education of graduates to meet our sort of industrial and social needs, and hopefully import and export students as well. We generate world-class research that makes definite transforms lives, and we also part of the ecosystem, the innovation and economic growth opportunities around our local and national systems. So just to look at that, there's a lot of institutions in the UK. There's 164 higher education institutions in the UK, and they employ sort of 400,000 to 500,000 staff, and the overall economic value to the UK is about 38 billion. Things to take home from this, it's a very big industry in the UK. We have about 4% of the world's researchers, but we generate 15% of the world's highly cited publications, which shows that as a sector, we punch well above our weight. If you look at the funding landscape, because we used to be quite fractionated, so we would have different research councils with different pots of cash to fund specific areas, and that really inhibited the interdisciplinarity and the sort of integration of different disciplines to tackle real problems in society. So in 2018, the UK restructured its funding landscape into one unified system under something called UKRI. And that brought in all these individual research councils plus Innovate UK, which was the industry arm of the UK research spend, and brought it together. The idea being that we would become more seamless across our disciplines in order to address the real problems. We also set out some grand challenges as well, which were at the forefront of where we see the UK playing a world-leading role. They were in AI and data, the ageing society, clean growth, and future mobility. Importantly, there was an aspiration by the UK government to take our R&D spend from 1.7% of GDP, which is comparatively low to our European partners and other places in the world, up to 2.4% of GDP. Now that really, and when you look at where that's coming from, if I put this slide up, how this 2.4% is going to be made, it really is reliant upon building those industrial links and sustaining them over a period of time. If you look at this graph briefly, the red line at the bottom is essentially the central government input as it stands at the moment, projected forward, and the middle blue bar is the industrial and third-party contributions that come into the sector. What you then see moving forward is that the UK public expenditure very rarely exceeds the amount of increase that's required to come from industry. So we already have a lot of stuff coming from industry and third parties, and what we actually need to do is grow that even more. So there's a real challenge in the UK at the minute as about how we give value for money, give return on investment, and help encourage those business decisions to invest into the UK university system. Laying all that out graphically, this brings the first opportunity for any university to help its industrial partners. When you put this out graphically, you can see it's actually quite a complicated landscape that we have. We have all the different research councils, we have all the different agents and organisations that can play into the research space. And the first question we invariably get asked at Warwick by our partners is, where on earth do they start? And that's something that we work very well on and work very hard on, and that is helping our industrial partners through this potential minefield of where to actually pitch for R&D funding and where to put their ideas and their projects. TRL1 at the bottom, very, very fundamental sort of blue skies thinking, not likely to attract a lot of private investment, but certainly ripe for government support. And then all the way to the end of TRL9, which is essentially commercialization and exploitation, very much the other end of the scale, private sector investment and not public funds. So helping our partners figure out where they are on here, and bear in mind they can exist in several places with different ideas at the same time, is actually something we find is very valuable. If we just look at the scale of our research activities at Warwick, it's interesting to do an analysis of how we have deep relations with and how many other sort of partnerships we have. Just pulling out here, you can see that 4 of our substantial research partnerships account for about 70% of our research income. And then we have lots and lots and lots of other smaller projects that account for the other sort of 30%. Now, those other 30% are very, very important, because those 4 big projects and programs didn't actually start that scale. They've been brought up through a pipeline and they have grown and developed over quite a long period of time. The challenge we have is actually graduating more of these smaller projects into medium-sized relationships, mainly because of efficiencies. If you imagine the amount of back office work that goes into delivering a small project is not dissimilar to one that we have for some of these really, really big programs of work. The other interesting thing about the big programs of work are they are very multifaceted. They are highly interdisciplinary. They cover many, many different aspects. They're not just based in one faculty, because they're really looking at long-term systemic change effects they're trying to achieve, whether it be through technology or behavior or ways of thinking or policy or things like that. So the challenge for us is to bring through more of these smaller opportunities and grow them. And that's the same for just about every university in the UK. And with this change to 2.4%, that is something that we are all focusing our attentions on. The other thing to draw out from this is, although we have an income, a research income attributed to those partners, actually the overall income to the university is actually probably double the amount that those research projects represent. And that's because we do other things with those partners, those deeper relationships. So they do education with us. As I said at the beginning, we are a place of education primarily. So we provide training and skills support. We also have opportunities for things like meetings and sort of corporate activities as well. So if you can build around the research base, you can then develop some really interesting and valuable partnerships that go beyond that, and they help solidify those longer term impacts. If I go on to WMG, which, as I say, is the sort of well recognized as being a global player in working with universities, working with industry, it's big. We are over 750 people across 10 buildings, and we have about £100 million a year research and education program. The numbers are very big there, and you'll see that they actually cross over between research and education. So people come to us for research and then pick up education. Some people come to us for education and then start investing in research. And the key thing, I asked for one slide that summarized how they did this. And what you will see is the key 3 points were: keep it simple, de-risk the innovation. That goes back to helping people know where they are on the best place to get supporting funds, and then make a difference as well. We don't like to take on projects where we aren't going to have a real impact. And then there's all sorts of mechanisms around there. We recognize partners and what they need. It's a case of what can we do for them. We flex around them, not here's what our offering is to you. And as I say, we have lots of different mechanisms that can be exploited and tensioned around what it is the customer actually needs. So I think that is, there, just to summarise what I've just said, there's lots of different ways of working with Warwick. And as I say, the partner benefits are, we have some unique capabilities. They get easy access to IP because we recognise that they are going to be the people to exploit stuff. And obviously we also help network people together as well. So a lot of cross-sectoral stuff that happens because of our size. We are able to do that quite effectively. And as I say, the training and skills does underpin those long-term relationships. So I hope that gives you a brief summary of what we do at Warwick, and hopefully there'll be some questions at the end. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Kerry, very much for this insight. I would like also to use this opportunity to call on the participants. Please ask the questions. You can ask them during the presentations or afterwards. We will have the discussion, the joint discussion afterwards. But you can post the questions at any time in Q&A section or in chat. Okay, we will proceed with the next example. This is a case study of the University of Edinburgh's approach to multidisciplinary research and innovations, and it will be presented by Michael ROVATSOS, Deputy Vice Principal of Research and Director of the Base Center. Quite a mouthful, so the floor is yours, Michael.
Thank you, and thank you very much for this invitation. And I'm delighted to be joining UNICA colleagues again, and also very grateful to Kerry that he's explained so much about the UK context that I can build on, and also great to see that at Warwick there is a commitment to working together with European partners that we very much share. So we are also part of one of these European universities. And just to say that, you know, despite Brexit, we remain fully committed to working closely with all of you. So what I want to talk about is our work on the Base Center as a model for interdisciplinary and industry-focused collaboration. Let me start by going back in time a little bit to August 2018, when the university was very lucky in being able to attract what we believe is the greatest grant a UK university has ever received from government. So this was part of the Edinburgh and South East Scotland City Region deal. That's a £1.3 billion program of economic development. And what we pitched to government was this idea of driving the local and regional economy through the use of data-driven innovation. And we managed to make a case for investment of over 600 million, over half the whole economic development program, to go into that, which will enable us to drive innovation in key sectors of the local economy for the next 15 years. So our first minister and the former prime minister signed this in August 2018, when we still hadn't even finished the building. And just to give you a bit of context about what this program is about. So the idea is to establish 5 hubs. You can see this is kind of the purple ring here, out of which the Base Center is the first one, that will connect to 10 industry sectors that are important in the region, building on a world-class data infrastructure and a digital skills and talent program to achieve substantial benefit to the local and regional economy by delivering very ambitious objectives in terms of talent, research, adoption, data sets, and entrepreneurship. So that's the whole kind of setup of the program. And as I said, we are the first center that opened in late 2018, and the others are being built and emerging across the city. So the ambition of this program is very broad, and we aim to really bring an uplift of up to £5 billion to the local economy. And how we're going to do that? Well, we want to create a very large skills base, around 100,000 people with formal certification in data science, AI, and related subjects, that will in turn create 50,000 new jobs and 400 data startups. And we also want to be led by the challenges that industry and the public sector have and help 1,000 organizations outside the university benefit from this data-driven innovation initiative. So within that, the Base Center was the first innovation hub that came live, and we've been running now for 2.5 years almost. And it's a very different concept from a normal university building or research department. So the idea is that we really use this as a way to translate our research and education into innovation. So we are a very old university, a very broad university, typically rank in the top 20, 30 in the world in terms of our research output. And we also educate a very international and very broad range of excellent students. But the question here, and you know, Kerry has already described how important this link to industry and to the outside world is becoming in the UK. So the question here is, what infrastructures and programs do we need to set up to make to translate research and education into innovation? And the idea is that we create a collaborative, multidisciplinary and disruptive space where we have students, staff and external partners working in the same space, breathing the same air, as we say, and working together to translate research and education into innovation in the area of data science and AI. So we, out of all the hubs that will emerge, we are the one that is closest to the science and engineering subjects. We're building on an informatics department that I'm academically part of as a researcher that's been doing AI for 60 years and that has great strengths in other areas of data science and computing. But of course, we realize that the impact of data will now be felt across all disciplines and across all sectors. So this is an attempt to bring that impact to the world. So we have a broad range of internal and external partners in the building who, so this starts from centers for doctoral training, PhD students, the Scottish and national UK innovation centers and institutes for AI and data science. We have mathematicians, we have the roboticists, we have a parallel computing center that has great computing and data storage facilities, and also lots of external research and development and innovation groups. And of course, the glue between all that is a rather small team. It's around 20 people who actually focus on bringing all these other groups internally and externally together to work across the sectors and disciplines. So this slide is just a snapshot of the different kind of companies and external partners that are working with us. So we've got innovation charities like Nesta, we've got EIT Digital at the European level and the Data Lab at the Scottish level. We've got major corporates like RBS or SAS, and lots of other trade bodies, startups and SMEs, some of whose names you will not be familiar with. Some are very early stage, some are more advanced, smaller and bigger companies. But the idea is that they all come together to drive innovation through data science and AI. What's different here from other things universities typically do is we view these centers as part of the wider innovation ecosystem. So here you can see a map of central Edinburgh, and this shows kind of the different tech innovation hubs that are around us and different kind of places where also major corporates sit, IBM, Amazon, Microsoft, and so on. And we really view ourselves as being part of that ecosystem. So the fact that it's hosted by a university enables us to access the talent and the IP and research excellence, but the impact will really be achieved through working with external partners. So that's quite a shift in the ambition of the university to work with its environment and with external partners as a key part of its business. By the way, maybe just also to add, had I shown you this slide in about 15 years ago, there would be 2 logos on it. So we have played a very significant part in growing that ecosystem. We've been supporting the local tech ecosystem and working with startups, spinning out companies, spinning them in, and so on for quite a long time. And we're very proud that together with other investments that companies have made and that the government has made, we've been able to really grow quite an amazing local ecosystem that is really way above what you would expect for a small country like Scotland. So what do we actually do? We basically try to focus on 3 areas. We focus on data science education, on translational data-driven R&D, and on data entrepreneurship. So the role of the hub is really to connect the staff and student talent from across the university to industry, the public sector, external funders, and government. And the way we do that is by creating a set of, apart from hosting other organizations and internal research labs, we do that by running a specific set of activities. So for example, in education, we have our online learning offers, from MOOCs to full masters online, workforce-oriented upskilling courses. We do public engagement and schools outreach and executive education. In research and development, we focus primarily on industry engagement. So we try to pick up the researchers where they are with their research and help them by supporting multidisciplinary bids, by getting the right industry partners in. But we also host industry R&D labs at the university, which really maximize this synergy between academia and industry. An important part here is also to create data assets. So we are building a very large facility with kind of, if you like, our own supercomputing and cloud, private cloud south of the city that will be able to host very large volumes of data for different sectors in finance, in healthcare, in engineering, and so on. And we really believe that the importance of data in driving innovation is crucial, because for a lot of public sector organizations, but also startups and SMEs, data is expensive, it's hard to manage, it's hard to make sure that you know, security, privacy, and ethical treatment of data are ensured. And this is another area where, as a university, we can contribute and provide the right environment for people to develop their new products and services. And then on the entrepreneurship side, we do entrepreneurship training. We run accelerators, incubators. We have a big investor showcase event every year that attracts over 200 investors, and where companies pitch for funding. We do business mentoring. We talk to a lot of investors and understand that landscape. And we try to showcase what comes out of research and innovation to attract investment towards these initiatives. So we've been up and running for 2.5 years now, and we're seeing a lot of great early successes. So we've attracted over 50 external organizations to either the building itself or its close environment. We've created and supported the creation of over 400 jobs. We've helped companies raise 91 million of investment, and brought over 38 million pounds of R&D investment to the university. So it's really and I've added some other key successes here. It's really a combination of mobilizing what all the things a university has to offer, but doing that with a clearly outward-facing mission. So forgetting for a minute about what we all normally care about, and then thinking about what does the world actually need, and mobilizing our skills and our expertise to achieve that. So that's all I really wanted to say. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'm very much looking forward to the questions and discussion later.
Thank you very much, Michael. I must say, I'm quite jealous of success of both University of Warwick and Edinburgh. You